This is Neil Schneider for MTBS-TV at the Level Up Gaming Showcase. To my immediate right is Maxime Beland, and I want to make sure I get this right, Creative Director and Creative Studio Advisor for Ubisoft. Welcome to the program, Max.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now, it's a big honor to have you on our show, because your work has impacted several games in the Ubisoft history. Can you tell us a bit about your work?
Yeah, sure. Well, I've been at Ubisoft for 15 years now. So I've worked on a lot of games. Worked on Rainbow Six games, Rainbow Six 3 for Xbox, Rainbow Six Vegas, which I think was probably one of the games I'm the most proud of. After that, I worked on the first Assassin's Creed with Patrice and Jade. And after that, I did the Splinter Cell Conviction. And after Conviction, Ubisoft wanted to open a studio here in Toronto, and they asked me to come with Alex and Jade. So we just released Splinter Cell Blacklist.
Now, Rainbow Six Vegas, that of course caught my ear the first time you mentioned it, because having been to Vegas more than I'd like to admit, because it's one of those cities where you go every year for a conference, you did a wonderful job recreating that in video game form. Can you tell us a little bit about the work that you put into that game?
Oh, sure. I mean, it was 3 years of my life. It was such a crazy game to make, and we had an amazing team, and it was, at the beginning when we started on the concept, we wanted to make an open world Rainbow Six game, and we had some ideas, and then at one point we were just like, okay, well, what if we keep the one city, but really focus on the team and all that. And I always remember our E3 demo when we showed that to the world. It was just crazy, on the side of the skyscraper, going through with the team through glass, and so the team did an amazing job, and especially multiplayer. Also, Vegas 2 was huge on multiplayer, so they were fun games to make, and they were fun to play.
You were involved with Vegas 2 as well, I take it?
Oh no, actually, I only worked on Vegas 1. Yeah. And then the team, part of the people that worked on Vegas 1 went on Vegas 2, and I love what they did with the whole experience system and the leveling up.
Well, what I remember from the first Vegas were those helicopter rides where you'd go level to level, and you got the feeling of Vegas spot on with the dizzying lights and so on. A very memorable game. Yeah. And you also did work with the first Assassin's Creed, if I recall. What was your involvement with Assassin's Creed 1? Well,
I was game director. I came in the last year of the project, so from January until we shipped. So I worked with Patrice and Jade. I was focusing really on the game design, on the combat. So it was a very, very intense year. Launching a new IP is always very stressful, and it was a huge team. We had some super smart people. It was a blast, yeah.
Now, the thing I find from video games, I've played more than my share, more than my wife would like me to play, actually, because it takes away from other things, like my other chores. But the thing is, I find that there's an invention in a video game that gets carried on to other video games. And I think Assassin's Creed is one of those titles where they added a certain type of play that you get in other games now almost as though it's commonplace. Yeah. Can you talk about some of the development that went into the first Assassin's Creed?
Well, I mean, I think you're referring to the free running, right? This ability to just run through the environment super easily, and the parkour style gameplay. And that was, I think, from the beginning it was a great idea, and then there was mainly two people working on it, a programmer and the animation director, and they worked on that for probably more than 3 years, and it's definitely, to me it was a game changer, because suddenly navigation in a third-person action game felt super natural, super fluid. And I think what's cool with Ubisoft is that they've made it even better with all the Assassin's Creed. I know it influenced me when I went back on Splinter Cell. I really wanted Sam Fisher to be able to have that ease of navigation, right? Assassin's Creed really made it feel like traversing the environment should not be something that was difficult or hard, right? When we walk around, we're not thinking, oh, there's a chair, I need to avoid it, right? So when you play a game, that freedom of navigation becomes super interesting, because then suddenly, because you're not micromanaging in your head the small details of navigation, you can focus on more of your tactic, and I've got people running after me, what am I going to do?
Now, I don't know if you're going to agree with me on this point, but I find that as the video game industry matures, it's harder to come up with new ways of gameplay. I don't know if you agree with this. You're welcome to disagree. Yeah. Looking at the work that you saw here at Level Up, did you see some ideas or creative ideas which seem to be out of the box from the norm? Can you think of any?
I think what was interesting to tonight, what we saw, is the wide variety of games. I mean, some games were, there was one, it was called Orb, and the game, it looked finished to me. It looked like it was made by a professional studio. They had 4 players, split screen. It's kind of a Mario Kart game if you want, but like set in the future. But I mean, the guys had the interface look good. Their icons look professional. You know, I was looking at their icons. I was like, wow, who made these? You know, they're clear. I understand what's happening. So some games were like that. Some games were just like, maybe, you know, they weren't as polished, but they had some really good ideas. There was a game called Cat. What's the name? Cat. Anyways, the game, basically they split the screen into 3 parts, and you're playing 3 different cats on different levels, and then with the triggers, you're changing your focus. It's really, oh yes, it's Catformer. Thank you, Catformer. And when you're looking at it, you don't understand what's happening. As soon as you grab the controller, like, oh, I get this, and then you're playing, and it's like multi-dimensional, and it's super. It's not aggressive. You're not killing anything, right? So it's super. I really like that game. So I think maybe it is hard to be innovative, but I think we've got a lot of smart humans that are coming up with some new ideas.
There's still plenty to do.
I'm not stressed at all.
Good stuff. So the next question I have has to do with immersive technology. Now, it has been in the news all over the place, and I don't know if you agree with me, but I would say that the industry is kind of hungry for the next thing, to do something like a new platform almost. Now, what are your thoughts on that? Do you see a bright future for immersive technology? Do you see something different? What are your thoughts on where things are headed? Well,
I'm always, as a game maker, as a game designer, I'm always interested in having my players be more immersed in my games, right? Like we're every game I make, we're talking about, let's remove the HUD. You know, we want the players to not have. We don't want to remind them that they're in a game, right? I don't want loading screens. Loading screens, they yell, "You're in a game. Wait." You know, so I want to lose all that stuff. I want players to have the biggest suspension of disbelief possible, and I think, you know, VR, immersive technology is there. It's doing that, right? So I'm all for it. I think it's exciting. I think we're seeing a lot of different companies that are trying their hand at it. As a developer, I'm looking at all these things and I'm wondering, am I going to have to code different things for all of them, or is there going to be a standard that we can all agree upon? So that's going to be interesting to see.
Do you think a lot of these companies will, and it doesn't matter size, whether they're huge or they're small, do you think at the end of the day they're going to be dependent on a successful standard or an easy way for the content to get out there to multiple solutions?
I don't really know. I think we can look at different technologies in the past that tried to do the similar thing differently. Blu-ray, HD DVD. You know, you look at things like that, and sometimes you're like, you know, what's going to happen? Is someone going to disappear and the other one's going to win? Is someone going to buy the other? So I think there's a lot of option. I think we're really early. I think we're still very early. I'm honestly, me as a consumer, I'm hoping that I don't need to spend $500 5 times because I have 5 consoles at home. You know, I'm hoping that, you know, there's going to be a way for me to enjoy all this content that's going to be there for not, you know, not $5,000. So I'm hoping there's going to be a solution for that, and hopefully it's going to be the most immersive technology that wins.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Big honor that you got to sample the student stuff, and it sounds to me like they're coming up with competitive stuff to the AAA, so you should be a little nervous, I think.
Oh, maybe we're going to try to hire a couple.
Yes, that's the way it's done, right? Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us. This is Neil Schneider for MTBS-TV at the Level Up Student Gaming Showcase. Thank you for watching.